Is the future of our race not worth a single human life?
Get up!
You'll never stop at one. I'll take you all on.
What do most films have in common? A divided opinion. No matter what film you are discussing with a friend or parent, etc., their opinion will always be the same as yours about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Sometimes they might reckon Pacific Rim Uprising or Despicable Me 3 are better than they are.
I do not.
But do you want to know who the worst people to discuss films with tend to be? The answer to that is film critics. Join me today as we discuss the ongoing war between critics and the public opinion. Film critics, more than anyone, tend to have the harshest critiques when it comes to cinema. Some of my favourite movies, for example, in recent years, have been battered by the critics who go to watch these movies. For a couple examples, the Paramount Sonic the Hedgehog live action movies have a good audience score. Sonic 1 has a 93% audience score, and Sonic 2 has a 96% audience score, whereas the critics have given these movies a 64% rating for Sonic 1 and a 69% rating for Sonic 2. In this series, I'll be discussing 3 movies per episode and give each film a rank based on how well it has been received on its release and since, how much it either made or lost at the box office, and how it is rated on Rotten Tomatoes scores, which is where a lot of reliable scores for movies tend to be, because they consider both critics and audience scores and separate them into 2 different categories.
I want to know. I want to know. Tell me. I'm ready. I want to know.
There are 4 ranks I have come up with for each movie. Critic Kings, movies that the public don't usually see as good, but in the eyes of the critics they see as masterpieces and a film of that era. For example, Avatar 1, a movie that is massively praised by the critics, with audiences mostly agreeing to, but not having as high an opinion on. Public Heroes, movies that critically don't perform well but publicly are adored. For example, the Super Mario Bros. Movie that critics slam it on release, but the public adores.
Damn, I'm good.
Box office bins, movies that no one likes or rates highly at all. A recent example is the new Joker movie, who both audiences and critics describe as one of the worst comic book movies ever made. And People's Champions, movies that everyone loves, such as Sony's Spider-Verse movies, that gained a massive cult following from both critics and the public. The first movie I decided to cover is Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, the second movie in the live-action Transformers series released in 2009.
This is not your planet to rule. The fallen shall rise again.
The live-action Transformers movies don't always have the best track record when it comes to reviews, from both critics and fans alike. This movie had a budget of $200 million, and on its opening weekend made back just over $108 million. Domestically, it made $408 million, and internationally it made $434 million. Overall, its theatrical run ended with it making $836 million. On DVD and Blu-ray, it grossed $276 million. Overall, it earned $1.1 billion in both theaters and home video. The movie was rated 20% critic score and 57% audience score. The fans at the time of this film's release were supportive of the film even after the home video release. Comparing this movie's Rotten Tomatoes scores to its predecessor, Transformers 2007, critics giving it a 57% and audience scores giving it an 85%. This movie does not hold up so well with critics, but the audience still enjoys it overall, and so for those reasons, this movie will go into Public Heroes.
Piece of tin.
The second movie I decided to cover is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This is the fourth movie in the Indiana Jones series, released in 2008. This is a franchise beloved by many people like Transformers, but generally their films are better received by the critics and the public. This movie had a budget of $185 million, and on its opening weekend made back just over $100 million. Domestically, it made over $317 million, and internationally it made over $469 million, ending its theatrical run with $786 million. On the home market, it made over $119 million on Blu-ray, overall making over $908 million through both cinema and DVD market.
Marion Ravenwood is your mother.
Oh, for God's sake, Indy, it's not that hard.
Critically, it was rated 77%, and publicly it was rated 53%. This movie is going to be in the Critic Kings category, and here's why. When compared to the highest rated in its series, Raiders of the Lost Ark, with 93% critics and 96% audience, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not as well adored as the originals by the public, whereas the critics consistently give these movies high ratings. The lowest rated by critics, Dial of Destiny, is still a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. This franchise is consistently beloved by the critics, and even when the audience agrees, the only time they gave one of these films a lower rating was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which critics still rated highly.
Don't think we want to go that way.
The final movie I chose for this first episode is the Super Mario Bros. Movie, released in 2023.
Let's go.
This is the most modern movie I am covering today. This is Nintendo's first theatrical attempt at making a Mario movie since 1993, and that original live-action movie wasn't particularly well received by other fans or critics.
You really thought I'd marry you?
Kinda.
This movie had a budget of $100 million. On its opening weekend, it made $146 million, already making back its budget. Domestically, it made $574 million, and internationally, it made $787 million, ending its theatrical run with $1.3 billion.
Yes! You just got Haluigi'd!
On the digital market, it made $14.7 million, ending with the movie making over $1.314 billion overall. Critically, this movie received a 59% score, and from the fans, it received a 95% score. This movie was massively successful for Nintendo, and it pleased the fans a lot who wanted to enjoy a Mario movie. The critics still enjoyed it regardless of the 59% score, but the fans' response was overwhelmingly positive, and for that reason, this movie is in the Public Heroes rank.
Open the gates or die.
So, after all this, what do you think of the ranks I put these three movies into? Do you agree with me? Or do you think these three movies deserve a different rank?
Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped.
Let me know in the comments down below. But what are my opinions on the three movies I've discussed today? Well, I remember liking Transformers Revenge of the Fallen when I watched it previously. I enjoyed Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, regardless of whether it's the best or worst in the series, and I really enjoyed the Super Mario Bros. Movie when it came out, and still do today. If you have any suggestions for films you may want me to cover on this series, let me know on my socials or in the comments down below. And until next time, thank you for listening. Bye.